Okay. Um, there was a question about this when I talked about the world and like a bubble around the world. He wanted to know, what do I mean? What am I talking about? What's the point? The point is that I was trying to make in context is there has to be some wisdom in the design, in the creation, at some point to our existence, given the uniqueness of the planet Earth, where it can sustain life as we know it, with the trees and the forests and the oceans and the water and the animals and such, and of course us, because it's really like just a soap bubble around the planet, which gives it the possibilities of all the things that are living here on the planet. So let's say explain the difference between Vipassana and meditation. Vipassana is insight meditation. So let's say, what is the difference between insight and meditation? They're not the same. Insight is the understanding of the mental and emotional processes that goes on in your mind. Meditation is simply focused concentration. Meditation, as anybody who tries it knows, is extremely difficult, and in fact, probably very rare does anyone develop a really strong concentration, where you can actually stay so totally focused on one point without your mind drifting. The problem with just practicing meditation is potentially, yes, you can keep your mind so well focused. That's very nice. But the analogy was given, well, then you're just like a rock. You're not actually a living Buddha. You're a stone Buddha. Just a rock, a statue. What do you do with a mind that can stay focused on one point? So great, I can sit there on the side of the road and my mind can stay so focused on one spot in front of me if my eyes are open or if my eyes are closed, so really deeply focused intently on my breath or whatever it is, the focus of my meditation. Amazing, right? Oh, wonderful. The traffic, the noise, the people, all of this, nothing disturbs me. But as well, the car that's out of control and heading towards me that's going to run me over, this one doesn't disturb me either until it kills me. Yeah. So perfect focus can blind you. Having a mind that is just master of meditation and focus is not really giving you life. It helps you live like a statue. There's no real use to it in itself. It's like, what good of your is to have huge muscles if you live on the moon where there's no gravity, so everything is weightless? A 3-year-old can lift as much weight as Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who needs, what's the difference having big muscles or not? So what good is your concentration if you don't have additional means of applying it? And this is where insight is more important. Developing the ability to see objectively the processes of your mind and emotion, which is basically the things we speak of in the model, the fragmentation, the buffers, the self-lying, all of these things. Unless you have developed the objective mind to observe what is really going on in your mind in every moment, like when someone is yelling at you or insulting you, or you're stressed in business, or whatever may be happening to you, if you do not have the ability to see the process, then the process will control you. You will be subject to the events that are controlling the environment, and you are a leaf blowing in the wind. But if you practice enough self-observation and your ability to have insight into what is actually going on, what you're feeling, just simply to know, what am I really feeling? And perhaps why I'm feeling it through the process of observing identification with events and cause and effect. You will become a master of your mind, and therefore, since all is in your mind, right? Nothing exists what does not reach your mind, does not exist in your life. Aside from the car that hit me while I was in perfect focus and concentration on the side of the road, well, that might affect you. Okay, so that's not a perfect statement. Really, though, in practical sense, nothing has any effect on you other than what reaches your mind. So we have to know what is reaching our mind, how it is affecting our mind, and in the process of this observation, you will become more of a master over the things that affect you and how they affect you. Okay. So insight, much more than just simple meditation, is important. But of course, insight is meditation in a sense. It is the observation of what is going on in your mind, and without the ability to concentrate and follow that and observe that long enough that you really understand it, then that's not effective either. So we need to just be clear that you need the ability to stay focused through meditation, but meditation is not going to bring you liberation. Only insight into the reality of what is going on in your mind, that can bring you liberation. However, you need a level of concentration or ability to concentrate and stay focused so that you can actually do the practice of insight effectively. All right. So back to the soap bubble, the point is, really, when you leave this planet and you go, and really anyone could do that. I mean, all you have to do right now, think of the moon, and you're there, right? Think of a star, and you're there. And then look back here. You see it all in your imagination. It's all in your mind. You've seen enough pictures and videos. So look at the world. It's just this soap bubble, this atmosphere. Apparently we can pierce it by going through it, and it's still there. So it's not quite a soap bubble, but it's just like that. If you do that for a while, thinking about the planet, what separates it from space, meaning what keeps the air inside. Because gravity, we know, keeps us on Earth, but air is not subject to gravity. And the higher you go, the less air there is. So maybe air is subject to gravity. Think about it. Look at the world, think about the world from space. What keeps the air in? Is air a material substance that gravity is holding it down? Is it the atmosphere? What is the atmosphere? How does an atmosphere form? Why does it stay there and not dissolve? As well, it's a radiation shield, because the sun has very deadly radiation that the atmosphere protects us. This is the part that's called the ozone layer. And the ozone layer is basically a radiation shield. Without the ozone layer of the atmosphere, then we would all be fried and cooked. So think never mind scientifically how this all formed. Okay, scientists can explain maybe. But why? Think a little more deeply, not just scientifically. There's got to be something pretty smart that made this world, and something pretty smart that made us. And that means that something pretty smart has made us broken with our broken machine. So there's a reason. And this is what we'll discover, the reason for this, through insight. Insight in why do I feel what I feel. First of all, how do I feel? What am I really feeling? where am I feeling it in my body, and what is it really? What am I really feeling? An exercise to help you with this is the one of putting your mind in a part of your body until you feel a sensation, and then moving it to a different part. So you put it in your forehead till you feel like a tingly, like a fly is there, something, a mosquito, feel it tingly. Then when you feel any level of sensation, you think of your throat until you feel the sensation, your heart, your knee, your foot. You move your mind to different parts of your body every time you feel a sensation, and then move to another part. You do this practice for as long as it takes. Some people, they get it right away. Some people takes half an hour. Some people takes a week. So you do this practice every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you start to develop the ability to have insight into your body sensations, which allows you, or brings with it, the ability to have insight into your mental and emotional experiences. So that's a very simple practice to develop insight, because if you're thinking, oh, insight, oh, how am I going to do that? I don't understand it. Well, this is the very simple way you will develop this ability. So practice that daily. You have to do it daily. Remember, like any antibiotic in medicine, you have to take it regularly as prescribed, or it doesn't work. Or at least it won't work as well. So you do it daily. And you'll develop the ability to observe your feelings, moods, and emotions. And that you have to practice whenever you're feeling. Okay. So I'm going to tell you about one now. Hopefully Andy will put up the slides so you can look at that. And it's titled See a Forest. Now, this is another way of trying to give you the understanding of how to think, how to have insight. We've spoken of insight and meditation as an exploration of your own being. But insight is a tremendously powerful and necessary ability to survive in this world. So this little slideshow that we've created will give you an idea of how to develop insight into situations so that you can resolve problems, understand things better, generally anytime you're confused by something. Confusion is a great poison because you don't get angry, you get confused. I think we just wrote an article about that, an article I put up, that we're never angry, we're only confused. And the confusion causes frustration. Frustration is vented as anger. If you notice somebody, when you're having an argument, they're going to say, I don't understand. I don't understand. They're very angry. They say, I don't understand you. Now, if I say, I don't understand, it means explain. But you'll notice that when people are angry and saying, I don't understand, they're not saying, I don't understand. They're saying, I do not understand and I don't give a damn because my way is right. And they are not actually asking for explanation of what is going on so they could understand. And that's because they're already so far gone in the confusion and frustration that it has become anger, and now anger has taken control of their mind. So the ability to open their mind in order to understand so that they can resolve the frustration is completely lost. It's too late. We need to be able to first see that I do not understand and now try to understand before it develops to frustration and then anger. If you could see everything that you do not understand with an objective and humble mind that realizes you are at fault because you do not understand, regardless of what it is, what a person's doing or whatever, and try to understand, because then you'll never get to the frustration and confusion and anger. So there's a way never to get angry. Realizing that there's no such thing as anger. Like, you cannot get me angry. You can get me confused. Okay. So think of that. Nobody gets you angry. They only get you confused. So if you can see it that way and resolve your confusion, you will never get angry. And fight. Never fight. You may not agree. You don't have to agree. But you won't get angry. Still is better, right? Better than being angry and disagreeing. So, always look for to resolve the confusion. Now, somebody does something, you say, why? Because. I don't know. Ask a child, why did you do that? I don't know. Ask an adult, why did you do that? I don't know. My father, 83 years old, he did something. I said, why'd you do that? He says, I don't know. So it's not just 5-year-olds. 83-year-olds do the same thing. I don't know. Then that's going to make you even more crazy. If I don't know why you did that, and you don't know why you did that, now how am I ever going to understand it? Great frustration. Okay. So this little slideshow here of See a Forest is going to teach you how, or the principle, if you will develop the ability, how you can understand everything, even if the other person does not understand. Right? So here we are teaching you a process of mental functioning which you should apply to every situation which is a problem that you do not understand and do not have a resolution for. And this is how you'll get it. If you can develop the ability for insight into yourself and into events and apply these principles. So, we start the slideshow here. You see a forest, okay? Pretty clear. Pick any forest. You look at a forest. Now, from this forest, you pick one tree. So now you focus in on looking at this tree. You want to understand this tree. Because what we want to do is to understand the forest. What makes the forest a forest? What makes the forest exist? How does the forest live? So we need to understand that. So we're looking for the source of life, or the source that gives the forest life. So from the forest, I'm going to narrow myself down to one tree and study this tree. And in this tree, I've got to narrow it down, so I'm going to study one branch. Because the forest is for sure too complex to understand. A tree is also quite a big thing to understand. So let me dissect it. I'll focus on a branch. Can I understand it from the branch? Still too complex. Maybe if I study a leaf, I'll get there. Let's get a little closer. Increase the magnification of the lens. So let's study a leaf. And in a leaf, still a very complex structure. So I now see there are veins in this leaf. Let me study in the veins. Maybe that gives me the clue. And what I found is that from the forest, I've gone to the tree. The tree has taken me to the branch to a leaf, because leaves make up the branches, and veins, the veins in the leaf. Because the veins, like our veins, give the leaf its energy and keep it alive. So actually we could say, maybe it's the veins of a leaf. No, but obviously not. Now I have to follow the vein. Where does the vein go? And the vein eventually runs into the roots of the tree. So now I can say, I got it. Understand. It's the roots of the tree which absorb the nutrients and water from the ground and transmit that through the veins of the tree and into the veins of the leaf, which give the leaf life, and then it can do its thing with, photosynthesis, and transmit the sunlight into the leaf, and wow, now we know how it works, right? So like a typical human, you would think, I've got the problem solved, I'll stop there. But then you have to say, okay, so the roots, now I know how the structure of a tree is and what keeps the tree alive. Obviously, a multitude of trees makes a forest. Now I've got it. But you didn't go far enough now. If I can say that's what keeps the tree alive is the water and the nutrients in the soil mainly is the water, of course, because we know through hydroponics plants can live just on the water if there's minerals in the water. Where does the water come from? So we have seen that what is hidden is what gives success. The roots, which are underground, are what makes the tree stand and where it gets its food that feeds it all the way to the top to the leaf. Now, where did the water come from? Rain, obviously, right? It rains. Anyone who knows if it doesn't rain for a long time and the grass turns brown, as soon as it rains, within an hour, the grass is green again. So obviously, rain. Now I have the real answer. You're right. Beyond the trees is the rain. No, again, you stupid human, you didn't get the right answer. You didn't look far enough. Where does the rain come from? Where did the rain come from? And that's the ocean. In America, Colorado is more than 1,000 miles away from the ocean. What about, some other countries? How close are they to the oceans? How close are they to a body of water that is big enough to evaporate and create rain clouds? So sometimes the actual source of what brings life is very, very far away. And because it is so far away and so apparently unrelated, you won't think about it normally. Because the tendency of the human mind is to be lazy and weak, and as soon as it thinks it understands, it stops there. So this model shows you that for every time you think you have found the original cause, you have to check what was the cause of that thing. Where did that come from? What made that happen? So this forest, where I lived in Colorado, 1,500 miles away from the nearest ocean, its source, 1,500 miles away, which is like a couple of thousand kilometers. So, and then, now we can go further of what makes the ocean evaporate and what makes clouds and how does the water evaporate, form into a cloud and travel across the atmosphere to make rain clouds all the way in Colorado and, and the rest of the world. You could say, there's some lakes and this and that. No. It's the ocean which creates our weather systems. So we have to think about the complex structure of our mind, of a human mind, and all of the events that happen which will make a person do or say something. Sometimes it's a distance, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's events, sometimes other people, cultures, countries, Why do individual soldiers go to war? Because their leader of their country said so. So some poor, innocent idiot is stuck there in Iraq or Afghanistan, far away from America or Australia or wherever the poor guy came from in his peaceful country, and he's gone all the way over there and he's shooting and getting shot at and blown up and all of this. Why? Because his president said, you go there, go get yourself killed or try to kill a bunch of the other guys. Is it his fault? No. If soldiers generally realize that, am I killing a man who wants to kill me or he's told he has to kill me? The penalty for not going to the army is jail. If you're drafted in some countries, South Africa, for example, when they had their war, the border wars, because I know some people like that, refused to go into the army. Well, you go to jail. Okay. So this is the penalty for not going. So some people would say, well, I'd rather go, to war. Maybe I'll get lucky. I won't have any problems and so on. It's better than going to jail. You see? So the poor guy who's standing there with a gun, maybe he doesn't really want to be there, but he doesn't want to be in jail either. So maybe when someone is giving you a problem, maybe they don't really want to give you a problem. But to give you a problem is better than the alternative that they have to suffer if they don't give you a problem. You know, for example, you have a problem with the phone company. You call and you get this idiot who talks to you like a robot, and they're not helping to resolve your problem. And you're going crazy with frustration because you got a problem, and this idiot is not helping to resolve your problem. And it's frustrating you, and you say, I don't understand. Why won't you fix my problem? Why won't you give me a credit or do this or do that? And they say, I'm sorry, sir, this is what it is, blah, blah. They read from their script. And you're going crazy saying, why won't you do this? And you get very angry. Because you're not thinking that this person has two choices. They can break the rules and give you a credit, for example, and risk losing their job. Or they can follow the rules, read from the script, and keep their job, which they need very much because they need the money. So when I think about it like that, and I'm dealing with some idiot who's giving me the robotic answer at the first level of technical support, and I think, okay, you know what? I understand. In your position, you can do nothing more than this without risking losing your job. So please give me to your supervisor. And if the supervisor is again doing the same thing, thank you, I understand that's the limitation of your job. Give me your supervisor. So you see, then you keep going, and I always get my problems fixed. I always get compensation and everything fixed, often much more than I ever expected, because I end up at the absolute top level if I have to. And they will get something done. Because at that top level of a corporation, they're not restricted by the same rules that the lower level is. So you see, this model shows you the way to get all your problems resolved with any kind of banking and phone company or whatever it is. These big corporations that drive you crazy with their pathetic technical support. So there's a practical use for it. So when you start to think always that if it does not make sense, if I am confused, if this is not resolved, the reason is there is some cause behind it. And I have to keep going step by step by step, previous cause to previous cause, until I find whatever cause level point in this chain, which is infinite because it goes back to the creation of the world and of humanity, right? Because there's nothing that cannot be taken back to the ultimate beginning of creation. But I don't have to go that far back. I only have to keep going until I find the link in the chain that is high enough to resolve my problems. Okay? So whenever you're confused and frustrated, remember it's your fault. You haven't looked far enough. Go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, until you get what you want. All right? So there's very practical uses for these concepts. And I hope my little slideshows and things help you understand. And yeah, that's enough, I think. Okay, bye-bye.